Man, this was one of the best Champions League match days I can remember, in a while at least. So many goals, so little defending. What's up? I'm Adrian and welcome to the UCL this week. Thanks for joining me. If you're not subscribed, then be sure to do so and say hello in the comments, please. I love meeting you new guys. Let's get into it as this week, we got a lot of talking points to get through. Tuesday really offered up some of the most entertaining, goals-rich football you'll find in the Champions League, with 27 goals scored across all of the matches. But Atletico versus Locomotiv was a real steel trap in regard to how the Russians played. What I absolutely love to see is how well João Felix is doing now. Sorry about the street cleaner outside, but I know you're probably not here for that, but we love to see João Felix around here, so get used to his name. But man, like I said on Twitter, seeing João Felix drop so deep to dictate the play isn't the role I initially envisioned for him at Atletico, but he's taken to it well lately. I mean, there was times where he was deeper and wider than the fullbacks. It was crazy. But regardless, he bossed this match and was unlucky not to score himself on a couple of occasions, if not for Guilherme in goal for Locomotiv. But anyway, Atletico found the breakthrough in the 18th minute when Hector Herrera's cross found Jimenez and his flicked header found the back of the goal. And then the circus came to town, headed up by VAR and featuring the main referee. Hector Herrera, in an attempt to block a cross, had the ball come off of his chest, stomach area, and subsequently off of his arm. And I mean, giving that as a penalty really doesn't sit well with me. And an amendment to the rules needs to be made. It's so unfair for a strike to go off of someone's chest and then hit their arm, and there needs to be some room for the referees to be lenient. Sometimes you need leniency to be consistent. In Italy, they've adopted an extremely harsh ruling for handballs in the box, and it has led to more goals from penalties. And I mean, if they want to go in that direction, I guess we can. I don't really like it. And this one especially, it just doesn't sit right with me. Despite all the ball and all of the pressure, Atletico were held to 1-1, unlucky with some strikes hitting the woodwork, and Guilherme making some clutch saves for Locomotiv. The other match in this group started out extremely close. RB Salzburg hosting Bayern Munich, the hosts actually taking the lead early, just 3.5 minutes in. Berisha pouncing on a deflected effort to smash it past Neuer. Neuer actually had to make quite a few saves in this one. He was a busy boy in the Bayern goal. Don't let the final score lead you too far astray. Because after Robert Lewandowski made it 2-1, Salzburg came right back in the second half to tie things up. But a late surge from Bayern really made it so that the scoreline flattered them just a little bit in this one. Boateng gave them the lead in the 79th, then Sané made it 4-2, Lewandowski grabbed another, and Luca Hernandez made it 6-2. I thought that the score is a bit harsh on Salzburg. 6-2 is harsh on them, as they kept things together until Bayern brought on the big guns at the end. But what an entertaining match nonetheless. I think between the two teams, they had around 19 or 20 shots on target, an even split, but Adrian will confirm that for me. And so with that victory, Bayern take their total up to 9 points in this group, 5 points ahead of Atletico, while Salzburg, despite some strong showings, are sitting on just a single point behind Locomotiv. Hey, when are you going to join us in standing Marco Rose and Gladbach, huh? This was the OG trouncing on the day, given the early kickoff, as Borussia Monchengladbach are coming for everyone right now. They went away to Shakhtar and served up not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 or 5 or 6 goals. Actually, they served up 6. A hat-trick for one of the sauciest players in the game, Alassane Plea, 1 each from Stindl and Bensabaini, and an own goal from Bondar to boot. 6-0, man. This really is something and sort of shakes the foundations of this group. This is a side that was minutes away from beating not only Inter Milan, but Real Madrid as well, if it wasn't for those 2 late collapses in those matches. It seems like they were thinking, hey, we can't concede a late equalizer if we just put 5 or 6 goals between us and our opponents. And I mean, this was a baptism, man. Shakhtar putting in a limp performance again, incapable of finding a way through the Gladbach defenders, while the Gladbach attackers had free reign to do as they please. It was insane. Again, these guys could have been on 9 points with a perfect record, minutes away in their opening 2 matches from doing so. Excuse all the sneezing, my allergies in the fall. I don't know why I get an allergy flare-up in the fall/winter. It doesn't make sense to me. Real Madrid versus Inter Milan was certainly a highlight of this match day, so much so that given Liverpool's domination, we actually switched over to Real Madrid versus Inter during our watch-along because democracy rules, and the people voted and they said switch. So we switch. The pendulum of power swung back and forth in this one, a very competitive match between two teams that aren't necessarily at their best right now. A big missing name on Inter's team sheet was, of course, Romelu Lukaku, meaning a big performance from Lautaro was necessitated, let alone a change in shape as he played up front on his own. Inter actually started well, with Nico Barella having his lofty header bounce off of the top of the bar and out. I think that Courtois would have saved that one. But from there, Real Madrid grabbed 2 quick goals, thanks in large part to former Real Madrid player and double agent Achraf Hakimi for the first one. Perfect pass, perfect weighted ball through to Benzema. Then the walls felt like they were closing in further on Inter as 7 minutes later, Sergio Ramos made it 2-0. His centenary goal for Real Madrid, by the way. That's insane for a defender. But this got a response out of Inter. Finally, after 5 matches without a goal or an assist, Lautaro Martinez latched onto a beautifully flicked pass from Barella, stunning pass from Barella, and hit it low past Courtois. Lethargic defending there from Varane, slow to close down, as his performances continue to be a bit bipolar this season. Either he's really good or he's kind of crap. It's strange from Varane. And perhaps this will be a turning point for Lautaro. Perhaps this will be when his form really improves and in turn, Inter's results improve. As in the 68th minute, his nodded pass into the path of the unwanted man, Ivan Perisic, made it 2-2. The comeback was on, and in the 74th minute, Lautaro cut inside on his right at the edge of the 18 and fired a shot towards the top corner. That just went off of the post. So unlucky for Inter and Martinez there, especially when just moments later, Real Madrid's young Brazilians combined with Vinicius dishing a square ball to Rodrigo to smash one past Handanovic. 3-2 Real Madrid, a thoroughly entertaining match. And an extremely important 3 points for Real Madrid as they remain level on points with Shakhtar, who have looked stinky since that win against Real Madrid. And Real Madrid are just a single point behind Gladbach. Well, Inter, it's not over for them yet, of course, but you get the feeling that they will need to be almost perfect in their next 3 matches. At least 2 wins and a draw, something like that. In Group C, it's becoming very clear where the balance of power lies after 3 matches played. Let's start in Portugal, where Sergio Conceição and Porto welcomed Marseille and their increasingly IDGAF manager, André Villas-Boas. Man, Villas-Boas and his press conferences are becoming more and more entertaining as time goes on. Guy clearly has had disagreements with the backroom staff at that club, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Because in this match, his team was on the back foot immediately, as the ever-impressive Jesus Corona, squared to Musa Marega in the 4th minute to make it 1-0 Porto. Shortly after, it seemed like we were going to have an absolute classic on our hands as Thauvin won a penalty for Marseille, but Dimitri Payet and his very whack new hair put the penalty wide of the mark. Missed opportunity, and Porto never looked back. Corona won a penalty that Sergio Oliveira dispatched well. Marega scored a second a few minutes later, but it was called back for offside. No worries there though, as Corona, who dominated this match, played a ball wide for Luis Diaz to open up his body and curl it to the far post past Mandanda. And that was that. Sorry, it's Luis Diaz. He's Colombian. 3-0 Porto. And in the press conference, Villas-Boas had this to say. In order to be shit in the Champions League, you have to at least qualify for the Champions League. We did it, and we are being shit. Now, of course, given his affiliations with Porto, some thought that this was a dig at Benfica, as AVB loves to throw shade our way. But I think it's more just pointing to the fact that at least he actually was able to get Marseille into the Champions League, something they hadn't done since the 2013-14 season. That was 7 years ago. Man City hosted Olympiacos and they bookended this match with goals. They started well, Olympiacos pushed back in the middle third of this match, and City ended well once Pep made a few changes. To start, Ferran Torres scored once again thanks to a great give and go with De Bruyne. Beautiful stuff, and how good has Torres been for City? Still just 20 years old and operating as a striker for City, a position he played on just a couple of occasions for Valencia, and he scored 3 in his last 4. Gabriel Jesus returned from injury and scored a great goal in the 80th minute, powering it in at the near post. And another substitute in João Cancelo made it 3. Solid win for City in a match in which they got to rest both Ruben Dias and Aymeric Laporte and still came away with a convincing victory and a clean sheet, most importantly for them. Well, not most importantly, but as a bonus. A convincing victory that places them comfortably at the top of the table with 9 points. Porto was on 6, Olympiacos on 3, and Marseille are doing absolutely terribly. 0 points, 0 goals scored. And in Group D, my oh my, Liverpool versus Atalanta was another high-scoring affair, but not in the way that Atalanta supporters would have welcomed. Again, Atalanta is an extremely entertaining team as there are often plenty of goals in their matches, but unfortunately for them, sometimes those buckets of goals can be flying into their own goal. And this match against Liverpool was one such occasion. Oof. Just like in the group stage last season, where Atalanta got slapped against Manchester City 5-1, and then 4-0 against Dynamo Zagreb, they welcomed Klopp and the boys with open arms. I mean, they played terribly defensively as they were porous Swiss cheese at the back. And going forward, they offered nothing more than a hoofed ball up to Zapata for him to try and create a chance all on his own. To be fair to Zapata, he deserved a goal, once hitting the bar from an offside position and another time having a strike hit the inside of the post, right at that top upper 90, and it didn't go in somehow. But those were basically the only highlights for Atalanta, as the rest was pretty much dominated by Liverpool in general and Diogo Jota in particular. What a player he is becoming under Jurgen Klopp. Like, we always knew that he had the quality as he had shown at Wolves. You saw it in flashes where you thought, damn, this guy, I mean, he's got it, but we don't see it enough. But at Liverpool, he's a player transformed, it seems like. Early doors at least, as hopefully he can keep this up throughout the season. Jota scored a hat-trick with some brilliant goals. The dinked finish, the way he took down the ball for that second goal and then slammed it in. Superb Mane. Superb goal from Salah as well. All three of their attacking trio scored, and in doing so, they've iced out the out-of-form Firmino even further ahead of Liverpool's match against City this weekend. 5-0 the final, a good performance for Liverpool. And Atalanta, I mean, we never saw them. They didn't show up, but it's not over for them. Like I said, they managed to come back last season from 2 heavy defeats in their opening 3 matches. So they can bounce back yet. They're still right in there as far as points go. In the other match, we got to celebrate a milestone for FC Midtjylland as they lost again. But they scored their first goal, not counting playoffs, of course. They played at home against Ajax, an Ajax side that has been rocked with COVID-19 cases recently, but an Ajax side that came out flying this match, with Anthony Santos scoring in the first minute from a Dusan Tadic assist, and Tadic himself made it 2-0 after 13 minutes, and it felt like it was going to be a very long night for Midtjylland. 2-0 down after 13 minutes. But the hosts fought back, and they put in a very competitive performance. 5 minutes after Ajax's second, Anders Dreyer scored that haloed European goal, and while they couldn't find another, they continued to play well here, and who knows, maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to put in another solid performance like this and grab a point in the next match against Ajax. I mean, you wouldn't put it past them, though playing in Amsterdam will be all the more difficult. So Midtjylland are still looking for their first point, as mentioned. Atalanta and Ajax are neck and neck for second, and Liverpool, perfect so far, without a single goal conceded. Big shout out to Joe Gomez, who was incredible against Atalanta, reading everything, solid in the tackle, an excellent performance from him. Edouard Mendy welcomed his former club to Stamford Bridge, but it was another match to forget for the French side, as these two teams met for the first time in a competitive match. But despite the scoreline, I mean, I say it's one to forget, but Rennes weren't that bad. In the first half alone, Chelsea were awarded 2 penalties. The first for Dalbert getting a piece of Werner as he cut inside. The second from an Abraham strike smashing into the hand of Dalbert. Poor Dalbert, at the center of Rennes' downfall in a sense, but we'll talk about that second one in a sec. Anyway, after the match, Lampard spoke of how he told Jorginho that Werner would be taking the penalties, and Jorginho's response was the one that all coaches hope to hear, that Jorginho doesn't care. He doesn't mind, and all he cares about is winning games. That's the attitude that you want. That's a good team player. Thankfully for Lampard, the faith he's shown in Werner was repaid by the German. Of course, Germans, penalties, natural fit. As he made no mistake with both. Actually, Gomez got his hand to the first one, but the second one rifled into the top corner. But I really didn't like that second penalty, as again, it had shades of the Herrera penalty against Atletico. The shot went off of his leg and ricocheted up into his arm. That's extremely harsh. Even more harsh, giving him a yellow card for that. That was his second yellow of the match. He got 1 yellow for the foul on Werner, and then a second yellow for a shot deflecting off of his leg and into his arm, and he was sent off, and Rennes were effectively killed off. But the third goal for Chelsea was scored from open play as the brilliant Reece James picked out Tammy Abraham. 3-0 Chelsea as they take the victory. One massive save from Mendy on his way to his 6th consecutive clean sheet for Chelsea. What a signing. Undefeated when he's in goal. In the other match, it looked as if Krasnodar was about to further the hurt for Sevilla, a Sevilla side that came into this match with 1 victory in 6 matches, a Sevilla side that was dominating throughout, a Sevilla side that had their captain sent off in first half stoppage time. It was against them. But that's me getting ahead of myself, as Shapi Suleimanov put the visiting Russians ahead after 17 minutes, and just 4 minutes later, Marcus Berg doubled their lead from the spot, 2-0 Krasnodar. All of this against the run of play for the most part. And then Ivan Rakitic pulled one back before the half. Also before the half, the aforementioned red card as Jesus Navas pulled off the unenviable task of fouling as the last man. So with his team a goal and a man down and on their way to their 4th loss in 6 matches, they needed to rally. And credit to them, Lopetegui got it right. The boys rallied. And the hero of it all, a man that is so hot and cold, but was hot on this occasion, Youssef En-Nesyri. He scored his 3rd and 4th goals of the season across all competitions in 3 minutes. A 3-minute whirlwind that took 10-man Sevilla from 2-1 down to 3-2 up. A massive victory, and try as they might, Krasnodar just couldn't find that equalizer. So as far as the standings go, Chelsea and Sevilla have a 6-point lead on Krasnodar and Stade Rennes. Man, I'm taking forever in this video. I have too much to talk about, so let's speed things up. In the early kickoff on Wednesday, Lazio and Zenit played out a 1-1 draw. Lazio coming back from a goal down thanks to Felipe Caicedo, the hero from this weekend against Torino. That 4-3 win when he scored in stoppage time. Late in stoppage time. In the other match, Borussia Dortmund went away to Belgium to take on Club Brugge, and the Belgians once again put up a good fight. Unfortunately for them, however, they dug themselves a hole that was impossible to get out of in the first half, leaking 3 goals in just 18 minutes. First was Thorgan Hazard, who put in another great performance on the day, and then Mr. Erling Haaland took over. He first converted his own rebound from a calamitous corner, then later linked up with Thomas Meunier, unselfish from the Belgian as he squared to Haaland, Meunier choosing not to score against his former club, or maybe he was just intimidated by Big Daddy Mignolet. Club Brugge wasn't too bad at all in this one actually, as they made Berkey work on a couple of occasions, but just couldn't provide the defensive quality needed to stave off the attack of Dortmund, namely Haaland. Another tight group here as Dortmund have a single-point lead over Lazio. Can't wait until they play each other again. We'll definitely do a watch-along for that, but Club Brugge is on 4 points and Zenit, well, on 1 point for now. Barcelona welcomed the COVID-struck Dynamo Kyiv. They only had 13 senior players traveling for this match at the Camp Nou, and it wasn't a great performance from Barcelona against this depleted side. They afforded far too many opportunities to their opposition once again, and on another day, Dynamo Kyiv would have scored 3 or 4 goals and punished Barcelona for their own wastefulness in front of goal. Well, it's not so much that Barcelona was wasteful. I'll explain in a sec. But thankfully for them, with the return of Ter Stegen, Barcelona had a good shot stopper to save them when they needed it. But Ruslan Neşare, this is what I was getting at, in the Dynamo goal was near unbeatable as well. Though he guessed the right way for Messi's penalty, he couldn't keep it out, and Messi converts another penalty. Griezmann failed to put a sitter away for an early 2-0 win, and then the frustrations crept in, with tons of saves from Neşare, including a ridiculous save from this Messi free kick, and then some great saves from Ter Stegen in between. But despite Piqué doubling their lead in the 65th minute, Dynamo were relentless, awarded for their efforts in the 75th minute, but that was as close as they would come. 2-1 from Barcelona. While it wasn't convincing from them, it must be noted that Neşare was insane in this match, making crazy saves. Juventus, on the other hand, played away to Ferencvárosi, and Alvaro Morata was fantastic once again. This man is on fire. His first goal was thanks to a brilliant ball from Cuadrado. Ronaldo left it for Morata to tap in. Then in the second half, Ronaldo was the provider for Morata, as McKennie this time let the ball run, and Morata's finish was stunning. With Pirlo taking Morata off, Dybala came on and took advantage of an unfortunate slip by Dibush in the Ferencvarosi goal. He needed that, Dybala, even if it was the easiest goal he'll ever score. And later, another mistake from Dibush, poor guy, and Dybala's strike was bundled into the goal by Diwali. Ugh, calamitous stuff, man. Bali pulled one back for Ferencvarosi, but Juve with a pretty convincing 4-1 victory in a match in which they really should have scored more, Ronaldo in particular. So, Barcelona leads the group with 9 points, yet to drop any points. Juve just behind them, and Dynamo and Ferencvarosi on 1 point apiece. After this week's matches, Group H is wide open. Every team has played each other at least once, and every team has won at least once. Yes, even Istanbul Başakşehir, as United have reverted back to their inconsistency. You know? How do you follow up an incredible 5-0 victory over Leipzig with an uninspired loss to Arsenal on the weekend? And then a 2-1 loss to a Champions League debutant in Istanbul Başakşehir. The hosts scored early as United were pushing very, very far up the pitch, and Demba Ba took advantage of that. I mean, look at this. What business do United's players have being pushed that far forward? So many of them that far forward in the 12th minute of the match when the score is still 0-0. And I mean, yes, United were forward because of the corner, which they played short. But to have Matic as the man furthest back and nobody else, it's insanity. This is inexcusable. And when the first ball into the box was not capitalized on by United, at least one defender, just one, should have been hustling back to the center line. But none of them did. Throughout that first half, it felt like whenever Başakşehir would go forward on the counter, they would hurt United. And in the 40th minute, they did so again. Extremely naive defending from United, once again, as Tuanzebe and Maguire didn't put in a star-studded performance on this occasion, far from it. They did pull one back, as Shaw found Martial. Shaw, undoubtedly United's best player in this match. But that's as far as they could get. 2 on the final, Epurianu with a fantastic clearance off of the line late in this match, Başakşehir's first ever victory in the Champions League. But yeah, this is the current life cycle of Ollie's United. They get on a roll, then they lose against teams they should be beating, then they go on a winless run, then they beat a top side convincingly, rinse and repeat. It's not just Ollie's United, it's just United post Sir Alex Ferguson. So, with United losing, that meant that one of PSG or Leipzig could catch up on points if they got a victory, and it was PSG who got off to a great start in Germany, as Moise Kean, who provided so many problems for that Leipzig backline, latched onto a mistake from Upamecano, played a perfectly weighted ball through to Di Maria, and the Argentinian finished nicely past Gulashi, 1-0 to the visitors. Ken then won a penalty as his strike went off of Upamecano's arm, and Di Maria's penalty was far too easy to save for Gulashi. He put it in the golden area that keepers love and will save every time if they guess in the right direction. A missed opportunity to go 2-0 up away, and it ultimately cost them, as the more this match went on, the better Leipzig played. Initially, just as it was against United, their line was way too high, and PSG was getting in behind them, way too much space behind their defenders, but they adjusted that, and with Nkunku equalizing before the half against his old team, it started to feel like they were on their way to a victory. And they were, as Kimpembe was adjudged rightfully to have handled the ball. Forsberg showed Di Maria how to take a penalty, and in turn gave his side the lead. 10 minutes later, Idrissa Gueye got a second yellow, and in my opinion, PSG actually started playing better for the most part with 10 men, but ultimately, Leipzig took the dub. What I enjoyed most in this match was the battles between Moise Kean and Dayot Upamecano. Shout out to Konate as well. The battle these three had was very, very enjoyable to watch. And the battle in this group is going to be a ton of fun to watch as well. With United dropping the ball in Turkey, they sit level with Leipzig in Group H. PSG is just 3 points behind them now, and same goes for Başakşehir. Still 3 matches to go, people. A lot can change, and a lot of fun to be had. I keep on saying that. Fun, fun, fun. Yeehaw. And with that, my friends, we are at the halfway mark of the Champions League group stage already. I hope you've been enjoying these videos, and if you did, then a like is appreciated. Subscribe if you're new. My name's Adrian. This is Rabona TV, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Peace.